here. Chat. Make sure OBS is working fine. And now we gotta pray. Hope beyond hope. That first of all, my resolution doesn't cronk up, my frame rate doesn't die, and that it's not too loud. Hey, tell me, why is this not connected? To my Bluetooth. Why does this come out of my laptop? God dang it. Hello? Hello? Video game, what are you doing? Is this because of Oh, you know, I betcha. This is because of yeah, I bet you this is because of Bethesda's weird browser. Dang it. Well, it's just gotta be this way because I don't really know how to fix this. Yeah, footage is fine. Resolution is a bit cronky, but whatever. So we need a few instances of urban exploration. This is as good a place as any to get that done. It's been like half a year or something since I played in this game, and I don't really remember where I am or what I'm doing here. But whatever. Alright. So that is, let's count it, one instance of urban exploration. Have a nuke. The Gwinnett Brewery. Ow. Oh, I forgot. I hate this combat system. Come on. Big guy. Strong. Straight up, dude, I am doing all the work here. Why doesn't he have a gun? Also, is okay, tab is inventory. They screwed up all the button mapping from Fallout 3 and New Vegas in this one. Inventory are 8. Radaway. Oh, a stim pack. Alright. Is it R? No, that's to reload. Is it T? No. Is it Q? Is it E? Is it Shift? Control? No. Is it V? No. G? Well, I mean, I guess we're just not doing VATS, huh? Anyways, another instance of urban exploration. Actually, this could be like a good sort of Art Deco showcase, I suppose. That's another thing we need. Oh no, wait a minute. This talks about this showcases the skyline of Boston. That's definitely footage we need. Hold on. Skyline right here. This is number 1. This is number 2. Oh, this is all covered in mines. Yeah, get him. Now, you know what? Let's actually figure out how we do VATs. Controls. Oh. It's, no, it's not this. Oh, that's POV. That doesn't say VATs. Yeah, they say it's Q, but it wasn't Q earlier. Oh. Oh, I mean, maybe there wasn't an enemy. Except. Oh no, you activated the bomb, my man. It's got quite a long timer, though. How do I quick save? Nah. This is going to be... Yes. Evening. Hi, them, and ethics congregation. Yeah, honey, it's Fallout today. I need some footage. My man, what are you doing? Good lord, he is going to destroy this recording. Okay, so can I just deactivate? Tripwire cannot be disarmed. Well, that's interesting. And I mean, oh no, he's gonna come over here now and activate it, isn't he? Ah, crap. Well, this is not really a safe profile I'll be coming back to, I suppose. I'm torn on this game. There's really good things about it. I agree, Dip. Here's the thing. I think Bethesda, they make the best exploration games out of anybody in the business right now, at least in the AAA scene. If you try to play their games as role-playing games, post-Morrowind, you're gonna be disappointed. These games are not good role-playing games. These games are kinda, you know, disappointing role-playing games in many, many ways. But if you just play them as exploration games, hold on, my attention is a bit diverted because there's just a horde here. If you play them as just straight up exploration games, there's a lot of stuff to love. Do I have like a better weapon for this? Assault rifle, is that better for this? Fragmentation grenade. How do I throw that? Also, sorry about the background audio. You mean like it's just one of those things, you know, I can't fix. Oh, it's the left alt button. What up? I must have done that. Oh, haha, good one. Okay, so I also really like the I think this is generally speaking good combat. I like that the enemies have very different functions. So like you can blow out their limbs and you can blow up their arms and they approach you differently. Right? I feel like in Fallout 3 and New Vegas even, enemies, they just had the same, they mainly had like the same tactics in combat. No! I freaking died, guys. Yeah, same tactics in combat, whereas here they have like different running speeds and they approach you differently themselves too. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to get back up there. And I need to get that skyline footage of that. Oh, well, maybe I don't actually need to go up there to get it. Maybe I can just like get around here somewhere. I also feel like lessons learned from Skyrim, there's always stuff like this little hill here around every fence, every wall, like that car. I went down, but I was able to get around it. Whereas like in Fallout 3, I figure if this was designed then, probably the car would have been all the way down there and I'd have needed to go walk backwards. Here, you can always sort of walk around everything. So here, you can get over the fence. You don't actually need to get past the house. Those sorts of quality of life adjustments to the exploration in this game. Oh, open. This is like... It's not skyline enough. There's still houses in the way. There we go. This is good skyline footage. Asshole. It's fine. So now, skyline footage done. Now we need more... I suppose I should go into the city and do some vertical exploration. Never beat the story on this one. Was pretty hyped for its release, but when I played it, I just wasn't hooked like with the other three. Yeah, I think the story is really weak, and I wish I had been more active on YouTube prior to this game's release, because the moment Todd Howard pitched voice protagonists, I was like, red light, what are you doing here? This is a bad idea. It's a bad idea in so many ways. You talk about your love of the modding community. This ruins the modding community. They're not going to be able to work with a voice protagonist quite as much. Like, they have a hard time. Like, look at this enemy behavior here. He just zoops around. Amazing. Amazing enemy design. Modders, like... The lifeblood of modding is their ability to make dynamic quests, a lot of it in these games, and you can't do that if you add a voice protagonist unless you have them recycle the voiced lines, and then like if you use these regurgitated lines to advance your quests, it's going to feel very, very hollow. And that was very obvious to me. I don't remember many people talking about it before launch. I remember a lot of people talking about it after launch. That like, oh yeah, hey, these quests, they don't have any dynamics because they would cost way too much money to get the voice actors to voice those lines. I'm stuck. No, okay, I got out. I was gonna say, worst game ever. This could just be urban exploration again. And I think it's interesting that Starfield is not going to have voiced protagonist. That they walked that back. They're like, yeah, that was a bad experiment. It's also like, I am a big fan. Do with this take what you will, chat. I'm a big fan of a big AAA game releasing and not having voiced characters. Just like, if you want to have the grunts in combat, you can have the grunts in combat. But for like, oh, I thought you were a bad guy, man. You look like a monster. But yeah, otherwise, just have it, especially if you're going to rely so much on modding, and you have such an open field for that. It really, I think it just hurts your game that you have so many voiced characters. It's also bad for just quest design in general, because you need to iterate on that stuff so much, and it's so expensive to coordinate that many more people into the design of your games. Yes, this is verticality. I needed that footage here for. So I'm a big fan of, if you're going to do a game like this, just do Morrowind dialogue. It's just like a Wikipedia page, and you can just elaborate on everything as it becomes relevant. So if you do like a Dune MMO, you don't need to have the characters talking to me about the Muad Deep. Just have Muad Deep link to a hyperlink where you can just ask, hey, what's this about the Muad Deep? I must have looted this already. Also, I love the verticality in the exploration. Like, look at this. There's just the planks here take you to a bus, and the bus takes you to the next level. And from that, you can get around to this here broken section of a highway to another apartment building. And it's like, this is such a it's such a small area of land, but there's so much dynamism to it. And I was streaming Dishonored in like earlier this week, and this is something I noted there, where Dishonored has a lot of fun interact with the environment's interiors in the exteriors. So like you're walking here on a building, and then you just teleport into that apartment over there to get you to the top of a fence over there. And I think a lot of that made its way into Fallout 4. Whether they used any of the same staff, whether that was like a testing ground for what they wanted to do with this game, no idea. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm totally willing to believe that that's not, because also I think totally different teams, and I think the design leads from Skyrim and Fallout 3, the level design leads, were the leads here. In fact, I know they were. They did a pretty good GDC talk about this. Where do I get down from here? Do I have to go inside? Sure, I'll do that. I think I need an interior sequence. But yeah, so like everything, I love everything about this game except the quests. Like, just get the quests out of the game. Just let me explore this land, and it's great. But there are like good quests, and there's good utilities of character interactions and faction interactions in the world. Like how if you join up with the Brotherhood of Steel, I believe it is, and this is not my original take. This is other people have talked about this before. But they're actually their role in the universe. They always in every game they're always playing up to this idea of like security versus safety, security versus freedom. Where the more secure you want to be in the wasteland, the less free you're going to be. And here they actually involve that idea into the mechanics of the Brotherhood of Steel, where you can give them more control over the land, and then you are less free, but they will just patrol the land, and they'll clear out these entire dungeons and enclaves of monsters for you. So it's like, what do you really want to do here? And I think that stuff is also really good in this game. Sorry, Chad, I haven't been paying much attention to you. The exploration and atmosphere is great. Yeah. I really like the vault aesthetic. I'm yet to be sold on the vaults. As much as the vaults are such a big part of these games, I've never fallen in love with the vault hunting and the dungeon crawling in these games. And I think it's the modular kits. So something you'll notice, I can probably do a little showcase here. So this is an elevator. It's just a standard elevator. This frame for an elevator, it's a door frame. And it's the exact same size. It's the same make as this door frame here, in fact. But this door frame is every door frame in the game. I think there may be a double door one also, but you have like 2 doors, and every single door asset can snap into this much space, because this is one of the they used modular assets to build it, and that's kind of like building with Legos, where every single system, like, it's just a system for building levels, and every door frame has the same parameters. And what happens, the difference between like Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, the kits they were using, is that Fallout 4 is vastly more powerful. Cafe patio. This just to go back outside. So now they can jump between kits. So you can have like, this is your office kit, but now you just cycle through and here's the basement of it. And we're going to use the industrial kit for that one or something like that. But this is also an issue I have with From ever since like Bloodborne's Chalice dungeons started to bleed into the design of the into the other games, is that modular kits don't give you the personal beautiful touch of handcrafting it. Modular kits are great for getting a lot of ground cleared, and it's really good in the exteriors of Fallout, right? I think so. I think like this is all designed with modular kits, and it's really good. It's really, really, really good. But when you get into the interiors, every interior just kind of feels like the same interior because they are, right? Good combat in a Bethesda game? Yeah, I think this game generally has pretty good combat. When will Bethesda add a climbing over fences feature? Yeah, it's weird that they don't have the climbing feature from like this Dishonored, which is just like context sensitive. You push a button and then you climb over something. Right? That is weird. Oh man, what are you doing? Also, look at like the lighting is really bad here, where I think he's completely lit by natural sources. Well, no, I think he has some. I think they spiff it up a little bit. I think there's some, what is it, volumetric lighting. But like, look at this. This just looks really bad, right? You shouldn't do this. He should have his own independent light source that moves with your camera. So like, if I'm looking at him here, right? Look at his face. It's just flat lighting. And it's realistic, I guess, but it's also really ugly. He should have like a light outline of just his back. And it should be kind of just soft lighting. And like to etch, like the edges of his face, the hardness. Get that stuff in there. Because this is a really ugly screenshot. I do like the spore dust particles in the air though. That's pretty cool. Right, so see what I mean? See what I mean about the doors? These are actually the same doors again. I need to get more door variety, and then we can really talk about this. Uh-oh. Sorry, Strong. Yeah, totally agree. I had my best time with those games, heavily modded. Yeah. And probably it wasn't great that the modding potential of the game was kind of handcuffed by the voiced protagonist. If I ever talk to Chris Avellone again, or maybe a Josh Sawyer, or hell, even a Todd Howard, one thing I'd really like to ask them, or just any like higher up developer on one of these games, is if you could add any interaction to the game that you can, just any interaction you can think of, that would beef up quest design in your opinion, what would it be? So like right now we can walk, we can have context sensitive talking motions, we can shoot them, we have combat and stuff. But what's a new function you would love to add to the game to increase your storytelling powers? Oh my god. Sorry about that. To beef up the storytelling powers of your quests. Because I don't think they've really added on that since like Morrowind. And it's like, yeah, you know, they have, and I don't mean like, oh, this is an automated generative quest that everybody hates whenever you do it, please stop doing that. But I mean, like, you know, you have to find the red falcon sword or whatever it is in Skyrim, the red eagle, I believe. I must have found that red eagle like 20 times in a row just to try to get the guy to stop telling me to do that. This is some good urban exploration. I'm noting this. 5. So would you add like climbing, right? Because climbing, that is a really interesting mechanic. Where if I could, not so much just context sensitive climbing either. Just like Breath of the Wild, where you go here and then you can just start climbing. And you see his like hands do some animations there. Because then you have a quest that's like, you need to find out information about this faction. You could infiltrate it. You could shoot your way and steal some documents. Or you could just climb up the wall and listen in on a meeting and then go back down. And that really changes up your interaction with the environment when it comes to the quests. I think that's pretty cool. I think that would be pretty cool. I remember Pete Hines accusing people with using Morrowind modding tools to mod Fallout 4 of hacking. What? Pete Hines? What are you talking about? I always get the mute main character mod. It doesn't fix the Fallout 4 dialogue choices, but it helps. I love that mod exists. That's pretty good. Yeah, and it's also, another thing that's really funny is that like the voice protagonist, when you talk about how it limited quest design, is that and this is this is a dead horse if ever there was one. You can't say no to quests in these games. You can go like sarcastic. What does sarcastic mean? Right? So by trying to like make the character more of a character, making it more believable, somehow you're making it less believable because I can't actually interact with the world as a living, breathing thing. I'm acting through it as it's just like a movie. I can either play through the movie, I can play through the movie with like a sneer, or I cannot play through the movie sometimes. What, kid, what are you talking about?
Over there, behind all those shipwrecks. He keeps peeking up out of the water.
What is this?
Do you think it's dangerous?
This is an example of bad quest, probably. Bad role-playing. Who knows?
Just in case. Don't go swimming out to it.
I bet it's hungry, but it's been waiting for a bigger meal. Now that you're here, it's gonna charge up and try to eat us. Except you're going to pull out a gun and shoot it dead. Then we'll be covered in blood.
This kid is really, really brave to try and tell me that I'm going to save his ass. You want that?
Wanted to attack us? That's nuts, kid.
Yeah, 'cause then I get to see a cool fight.
I should turn on subtitles, actually. Because the audio is all over the place. So, like Donnie Kowalski here was telling me that there's something in the water. It peeks out. Oh, that's it? Wait. No, wait a minute, kid. This could be a good quest, because that doesn't seem like a monster to me. That looks like a submarine or something. Yeah, what are you? Oh no, water, what are you doing? Yeah, okay. Investigate the submarine. The Yangtze. Dang it, kid! I think this is actually a good quest. Okay. Oh god, what is this frame rate? Captain Zhao.
I watched you talk to a boy on the dock. Swim out here. You appear evil.
But not a threat.
Threat. No. Come in up here. Peace.
Oof. I guess I'm not a threat. But like, why can't I tell him, you're dead, monster? Fallout 4 sarcastic run. Yeah. I love how there's basically only one proper dialogue in Morrowind, the chat with Dagoth Yeah. Good point. A lot of the ruins and highway segments are really great, worth exploring. Hello sir, hope all is well. Fallout 4 was an interesting experience. While the competent gameplay was tight enough, the story never hit me. There's a lot of that going around in chat, System Drifter. There's a lot of that sentiment going on in chat. I don't know, man. You commie scumbag.
You destroyed my country. Die!
Can I hit you, man? Yes. Yes. That's what you get for being a communist. So wait, was he like I wasn't following the quest there, and I was was he like, he's a communist? Is he like from China or something? He said like I come in ping, and I'm like, that sounds vaguely racist. Unless that's actually Chinese for peace, in which case it's not racist. But like I'm not paying attention to what's happening here, and I accidentally killed him. Oh, wait. Oh, I get it. Maybe this quest had something to do with, like, you have to solve the mystery of the radiation leak in the back. I don't know. This submarine? Not for me. Not for us, chat. Not for us. Chinese spy turned ghoul? That might have actually been a cool quest, but... Hell if I know. I'm getting a lot of good skyline footage. I probably shouldn't have wasted all that time trying to fetch it since I get so much organically. My rats level is fine, chat. What are you talking about? No subtitles? Sorry about that. I honestly kind of dislike how ghouls look in this game. How so? Don't they look ghoul enough for you? They don't have noses. Oh, come on. These dang mud crabs. How I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I also really like how the district segmenting is very elaborate in the map. So, like, here we are, the east side of Boston. And this looks really different to, like, this here area where everything's really flooded. There's some flooding here, but, like, this is really different to this here area, which is different to this here area. It's like, there's a lot of internal variety to the city that helps break it up a lot. They look too nice? Oh. You want them more disheveled? You know, if I was put in charge of making one of these games, I've talked about this, I think, like 30 different times. I would love to make Fallout Tokyo, and it's like, you have samurais, but you also have, like, AI streamers, and you have, like, honor culture versus like anime culture, and all those old symbols from the old world, they're sort of being reinterpreted by the cultures that still exist in the world. But I think it plays so well if you do it in Japan, because Japan actually had to rebuild their own country after a nuclear bombs, and that's like an added layer of darkness to the story, because we did this before. We already tried to reestablish who we are and discover what exactly we stand for, and now we have to do it again. And you also have, like, kaijus and stuff, and that's really cool. Oh, there was a guy right there. I get it. Yes, say goodbye to your leg. Yeah, we're quick saving that. Like, yeah, this should have a climb function. I mean, I guess I'm looting him, but why? Sometimes the sarcastic choice isn't the sarcastic choice in Fallout 4. Yeah, that's another one. Also here, where it's like, well, I mean, I was able to climb up there, kind of. Was about to say it, better feature Godzilla and maybe Pat Lapor. I've actually been meaning to watch Pat Lapor. Sophie told me about that and showed me some images, and I was like, ooh, this looks really, really, really good. Like, just the animation quality, like, holy crap, that looks good. But also, an idea that I've had for this is that I would love a quest where you visit a synth factory. This is a factory that manufactures synthetics, and it manufactures them back in the old world, okay? And it's kind of like Blade Runner, where you find out that, oh, the synths, they have artificial memories sometimes. And sometimes they don't know that they're synths, because the memory breaks down. And at the start of every game, when you're making your character, there's a random number generator. And it's like, it goes from 1 to 5 or whatever. And if it hits 5, so 20% chance, if it hits 5, if you do that quest, can discover that you are actually a synth. And that your life, prior to starting your adventure in the wasteland, was all fake. And then that takes you on a completely different main narrative of like, oh, you people, you were just pretending I was one of you. But then that quest, like, if you're not a synth, then that, like, the canon actually fractures depending on whether you get to be a synth or not. And I love the ramifications of including this choice, because even if you don't do that quest, there is always that looming chance that you were a synth all along, and you just didn't know it, and that the people you knew and your family and whatever, yeah, they were just toying with you. They were just pretending that you were their family. That's one of the quests that I would really, I think would be really interesting to include. Especially because of the randomness. Because it's like, well, anytime you're playing this, whatever you try to do with it, that might just be manufactured. And like all of your experiences in video games are manufactured anyways. Like I'm not some guy frozen in time and forced to fend for myself in the apocalypse. I'm just, a dude with a cup of coffee next to me talking to people on the internet, Yeah, I'll take this as another instance of urban exploration. This is fine. I own WX13 Patlabur. Oh. Are you secretly a synth? I could never tell. Also, why can't I break this glass? Come on, game. How can I have 999 ammos just endlessly? Is this game... am I cheating? See, this is something I like, right? You're bobbing in and out of interiors here. Whereas it's pretty good. It's pretty good. You love to see this stuff. You love to see this stuff, even in a Bethesda game. Especially in a Bethesda game. And I'm so interested to see, are they going to be able to do this again for the Elder Scrolls 6? Because the Elder Scrolls does not, as a setting, it just doesn't allow for this level of insane verticality. And if you do like magical, fantastical like vines and shit to go in and out of the buildings, I don't think it's going to work as well. Because this is just like a city and you can read it. And you see like, oh, that's a balcony. I can climb that. Whereas the more fantastical the aesthetic is, the harder it is to just naturally intuit what you can and can't maneuver on. The harder it is to be able to create that sort of insane verticality, right? Even Elden Ring, it doesn't quite stack up to this. Yeah. I am a replicant. Yeah, Kesdiv is a replicant. Kesdiv told me once. I was like, you are a filthy replicant scum, but you do good Kingsfield lore, so I guess I won't turn you over to the Tyrell Corporation. I guess I won't let Jared Leto have you. 999 meter ammo is more than 1,000. Oh. Derp. Didn't know that. Fallout 4 is better than Elden Ring? Yeah, I guess that's what I said. Hey, man. Hey, what the hell, man? Whoa. This is messed up, dude. I need to use some stim packs now. Man, I'm activating your minds. I hope you realize that you're making me do this. No, you know what? I'm not gonna fight. I'm gonna let you guys duke it out yourselves. Except for this guy. I will fight him. He just needs to expose himself again. Meanwhile, I can take this guy out. Come on. I must have hit him like 7 times. Alright, alright. What do you have? Do you have anything good? Orders? Oh, that's another quest. That's a trick. Hey, man. You are straight up shooting me. Did you know that? Are you? Oh, you're a good one. I mean, I don't have that many stim packs. I have like 20 or something. The face when you can't shoot enemies in the groin in 3D Fallout games? Yeah, it's a darn shame. Remember what they took from you, chat. Can I just, what do I have? What do I have? Gumdrops? I'll eat that. I'll eat this. Purified water? I'll drink that. I'll eat this garbage. Sugar bomb? Sure, I'll eat that. I'm just, like, hungry. I also love that, I don't remember if they did this in previous Fallout games, but you can be a cannibal in this one. Like, that's a really fun interaction they added. I don't know if they actually incorporate that into any quests in an interesting way, but like, that's pretty cool, right? You're a cannibal. And people just, you're like, oh, you're just going to be eating people, huh? It's kind of disgusting, you know? I got you, bro. Isn't there cannibalism in New Vegas? There might be. Like I said, I don't remember. I don't remember. But I think it's a cool feature nonetheless. At the end of the world, there is always cannibalism. I can't wait for society to break down, so that I just need to know, you know? I don't need to kill somebody, but I just need to know what they taste like. I heard humans taste kind of like pig and chicken, but it's like, that's not the same flavor. What do you mean? Which one? Which one do they taste like? It probably depends on which human beings. Apparently, drinking blood is a really bad idea. Oh yeah, I think I've heard that. It does something to you. Sir, we're already there. Yeah, I'm like, just... You just see on the news that people are starting to eat each other in the street, and you're like, yeah, well, what else is on? Maybe that's like a new TikTok trend. Eat the face of your friends. Oh my god, what am I doing? What's going on back there? Alright, so I've been in this area of the map for too long. I need to go like over here. Yes, that's a good place to put the marker. Don't give TikTok any ideas. Hey now, I don't think I have any kind of pull on TikTok. Though I have, and not to expose too much of myself, you probably won't be able to trace my real identity from this. I have actually trended #1 on TikTok Iceland once, even though I don't have an account. So that's kind of like I'm slowly drip feeding everybody, like who could this Acer chap be in real life? That's another important clue, and you can tighten the Venn diagrams of who I am in real life. It's very disappointing, I gotta say. Now that's impressive. I think so. I think that's pretty cool. Like in Iceland. It was not #1 worldwide or anything. Was it a video of you cheating at Yu-Gi-Oh? Hey, what is this? Accusations of cheating? No thank you, I didn't cheat. It was actually a video of me being pretty awesome at Yu-Gi-Oh. Drinking blood was popular during the Twilight era? Ugh. Oh god, of course it was. Of course it was. Team Edward. I have a timestamp to the stream where it happened. You can't bury the truth. Hey, can I ask you something, Candles? I don't know. I don't remember, and I don't know if you remember. Did I have Dark Magician of Chaos in that duel where I almost decked the guy out and I had to constantly outplay him? Because that is one of the highlights of my like Yu-Gi-Oh career. Just constantly dragging up new assholes to survive for another turn. And I think I only made it because he made like one misplay near the end game where he could have beat me, but he didn't. But yeah, I think I need to do something with that stream. Just like make an independent video of, hey everybody, I know you subscribed because you want me to make the Silent Hill 4 commentary. Here's a video of me playing Yu-Gi-Oh for a really long time with a lot of different moves. Enjoy! Yu-Gi-Oh was a crazy game that couldn't keep track of its own rules. Oh, I very much disagree. I think Yu-Gi-Oh basically just got better and better and better. I don't think Master Rule 5 has really done anything good for the game. I think just what you link summoning fixed so many of the problems, and now you took link summoning and you basically nerfed it. So what was even the point of that? I very much disagree with the popular sentiment. I think Yu-Gi-Oh has only improved in the years since it released. This is just another example of urban exploration. I also am going to need some footage of wide open roads. I can probably just take that from wherever though. You heard it here, Acer is a fan of Xyz summoning. I mean, have you ever played Teller Knights? It's pretty fun. And it's so cool with Xyz summoning because it's so generic. It's not as generic as like Link's, but it's so generic that if you have an old deck, like a deck from the DM era, you just need to add special summoning power to it and some Xyz monsters, and it's like you can fix your deck. You can make it playable without fundamentally destroying it. Not competitive, but it's playable again. And I think there's some value in that. Even though DM era players wouldn't touch Xyz summoning, however much you paid them. What is this? CIT? What the heck? Cincinnati Institute of Technology. Oh, Commonwealth Institute of Technology, probably. What is this place? I don't care. I don't need footage of this place. Which is a shame. I'd love to explore this. Crap, man. What is this? I am. Xyz is like that. Xyz is like what Fusion is. Viable, yeah? I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, like, fusions are really good now because there's so many. I think fusions are just the fan favorite. Well, the fan favorite is synchro summoning, but fusions are the favorite extra deck mechanic, at least over at Konami. So every deck basically, like, if you can get rid of 10 cards and just run the invoked package, congratulations, you have a deck that has a pretty, I don't know how good invoked is right now, but like, you have a fusion deck now, and you have some strategies you can put into that. But they've done so much with fusions in recent years, like that mutant strategy. I don't think that actually went anywhere though, but now they have like Albas, Fallen of Albas, and it's just like amazing artwork and these gorgeous dragons. I think that's incredible. Let's say this is wide open roads. And this is something that's so much cooler from Fallout, for Fallout 4 compared to Fallout 3. Fallout 3 feels very oppressive with its environments because they're so closed off, and I get that that's kind of part of the appeal. But in terms of navigation, just look at how like open the skyline is, even when you're in the middle of downtown Boston. You can like you're just like, oh, there's a landmark there. And you can see that. There, oh, there's a Nuka-Cola sign. That might be interesting to explore. What's happening over there? Oh, look, it's... Hey, you know, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But you know what I mean. It's there's a lot more open spaces, a lot more excitement to have toying around with this world. Whoa, what's this? The Cambridge Crater. Oh, I'm being radiated. That sucks, man. Who's that? Some guy. The Sinking City is actually kind of a bit of a fantasy city game. It has the pale though, so it counts as a fantasy. Oh, is this from Disco Elysium? I saw chat talking about that earlier. I have actually never played Disco Elysium. I'm that guy. Hey, what's this? You can go over and you can go under. Disco Elysium is the Dark Souls of video games for real? Nonsense. Dark Souls 2 is the Dark Souls of video games. You don't know what you're talking about. Let's say this is Boston. This is good footage right here. We just like walk outside here and are in the city. What is this explosion sound? Probably some sort of explosions. Hello? No, okay, the shots are coming from over there. Swarm bot? Yeah, hey, I don't need that. It's like a domino effect of explosions that I don't need. Watts Consumer Electronics. It's pretty cool, pretty cool. But yeah, because the quests aren't all that robust, the exploration mainly is driven by the actual fun of exploration and the combat that takes place in it. And this is why I'm so interested in what these developers would do if they could add any function they wanted into the world. Because I think it does get a bit samey for all the tricks they pull. Like, look at this, we're in little suburbia over here. For all the tricks they pull to make the exploration stay interesting, you're still just walking around or fighting people. There's something missing here. There is something missing. I don't know what, but something. Azer, go pirate Disco Elysium immediately. I think it's actually cool to pirate it now, because my understanding is that the creators have basically been booted out of the company they created. Or well, like, they made the game that made the company, but the people who have the company are like, nah, we don't need you. We were doing just fine before you made Disco Elysium and saved our studio. This is a cool setup. Oh hey, this has some physics attached to it. That's cool. Everybody pretend not to hear the music. If you pretend not to hear it, and I don't know if you actually can hear it or not, but if you pretend not to hear it, the algorithm won't be able to hear it either, and they won't flag me. That's why I'm so scared of streaming on my... Because I thought about streaming on the main channel, now that live streams have their own tab. But what scares me about that is, if any of that gets copyrighted, if any of that... Like, I have a really good relationship with the content check algorithm. So much so that I can just tell them now, like, no, there's nothing that breaches your, there's nothing that violates your rules in this video. And they're like, okay, we trust you because you've been good with us, and you have a good track record. But if I start streaming, all of a sudden I think I'll lose that. So, probably the additional channel will survive for longer. 3 in New Vegas are designed around that. You can see it through the spread of locations on the map between the two games. I'm sorry, I lost the thread so bad. I don't quite remember what I said to prompt that. Okay, we're not really in the city anymore. We should go back. The devs founded the studio, but it was stolen by the investors. Ah, it's those pesky investors, people. Squeezing people for all the money they can get. But hey, if they wanna look, investors, if you wanna give me some money, that would actually be pretty cool. I'll make the next Disco Elysium, whatever. It'll be about like weird little goblin guys. One of the goblin guys is like, I went to the Skeleton Academy, and they taught me bone magic. And, it'll actually be a metaphor for society. in which we all live, might I add. You said that the new Fallout games weren't based on the principle of exploration and that you actually hate exploration. Oh man, I wasn't supposed to say that. Dang. Well, I mean, since you say I said that, I must have said that, and I need to commit to what I said. Dang it. Dang it, chat. Tell you what, Candles, you are a menace in the chat, might I just add. We've all just been recruits for the next skeleton war. Yeah, and you know why they call it the skeleton war? It's because we are all just skeletons on the inside. Dun 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 dun. I need to change brightness levels. I had night mode on for I don't know how long. It's just like a yellow, I don't know if it's captured on stream, but like there's a yellow filter that comes across the screen so it's easier to go to sleep. But like, it's also like a yellow filter in a Fallout game. What else is new? Okay, let's go back to the city. At least I never killed Y4, not you too. What? Otherwise I can't tell. I keep mine on all day. Yeah, I mean that's not such a bad idea. I feel like those brightness settings killed the gaming goggles industry. Gunderson gaming glasses, or no, it's Gunners. Gunderson's is the nut company from Futurama. Veterinary. Is this like the Blade font? I also like that you can hold your breath while you're aiming. And it costs AP, but it stabilizes it. Pretty cool. Okay, so separate districts. I'm gonna say check. Opening of the game, I'll get that other way. Town building, that's something I can get that from trailers. Let me just mark that. Trailer. Upbeat landscape. Comparative to New Vegas and Fallout 3 at least. That is a downgrade I have. That's something that irks me. I think this is a genuine downgrade, is that the tone of the world is a lot more sort of cartoony and silly than it is in, like, even as far back as Fallout 1, but even in like Fallout 3 and New Vegas, where the world is a lot darker. And they like Fallout 76 uses basically the assets of this game, so it looks exactly the same. And now they're making that Fallout TV show, and from what I've seen, it looks like it's just this game again, like this aesthetic. And I don't really love this aesthetic of Fallout. I think Fallout is much better when so like everything's blown out, but it's also like colorful, and there's this idea of you have to go out and rebuild America, and there's sort of a hopeful message about this. Whereas in Fallout 3, you walk out of the vault, and the first thing you do is you walk into this blown up little piece of suburbia, and there's like, you're in a kid's playground, and it's just nuclear hellfire all around you. And like there's a billboard with a happy little character, and they're like, hey, drink Nuka-Cola. And you're like, hey, didn't you die in like a horrible nuclear annihilation? Are you guys my friends? They are my friends. Cricket, is he like a named character? Don't worry, guys. I am here. They're gonna kill me. Don't worry, don't worry. Yes, you're fighting both of us. Nah, just kidding. Just kidding, chat. Good joke, though. Good joke. There's no rats here, so I can't be chaotic like in Dishonored. That's another faction in my Disco Elysium 2. You can be a rat boy. The rat is the key to evolution. He who scurries with the rats scurries with kings of men. Princess Irulinia. From the sayings of Muad Deep. I've been reading a lot of Dune. I don't know if it comes through in this stream. Fallout 1 had a bit of a downer ending. Yeah, that's the one that ends with like the ink spots where they go like maybe. And it's like, oh, that's the point of the game, is that they send you out there to save them, and then you come back and they're like, yeah, thank you for saving us, but now you're one of the wasteland people. And because you are, you've been tainted and you can't be part of our community anymore. So get lost. Hardware Town. Hey, this is pretty cool. This is also opens things up for some rooftop shenanigans. No! Hey, I need more stim packs. Or this stuff. Disco 2 features Rat Guys and the Golden Path. Yeah. Yeah, hey, Dune is kind of like the original Disco Elysium though, huh? I feel like the God Emperor of Dune would be right at home in, Who's shooting me? Who's shooting me? Oh, it's some guy. God Emperor of Dune would be like a great story. Like, imagine you make a game. You want to make Dune 4 you want to adapt that to a video game. You basically do Bastion, where you have like a storyteller who adapts to the choices you're making as you play, and he has his musings on political philosophy at the same time. I think that would be really, really, really cool. And I think it would capture the storytelling of that book very well. And he also has like, he really wants Duncan Idaho to have sex with his wife, whom he's... Because he doesn't have a penis anymore, because he's a weird worm man. Don't worry, I'm not spoiling anything, people. They're never gonna make this movie. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And then in like immediately after the God Emperor, where you have like the giant worm man who enslaves humanity to make us stronger, you get to like, oh, we have the cat people now, and we have like the space dominatrixes who control men's minds with sex. It's like, what the hell is this story? Like, what the hell is this story? It's so good, but what the hell is this story? Boston, I'd say that's another one. 11. Yeah, but upbeat landscape. That's something we need to find. The Red Rocket. Oh, I've leveled up. That's pretty cool. It almost sounds like that Gore series. What's the Gore series? No, cat people. Hey, please, what is this? Why can't I reload? Denis Villeneuve is gonna sit everyone down and Jason Momoa and make a 3-hour TED Talk movie. See, that's the thing. I have a feeling that God Emperor of Dune lends itself a lot better to being adapted into a single movie than any of the other Dune books does. Because half of the book is just the inner monologue of the God Emperor. So you actually don't need to film all that much. It's just like you have a couple of political like assassination attempts. You have some scenes with the Bene Gesserit and what they're planning in his world and how they've kind of lost all of their power and influence. And yeah, you have that scene where he has Sierra ride him in the desert, and then he abandons her, and she's like, if you abandon me, if I get off, you'll run away and I won't have water. And it's like, yes, hardship will make you strong. Don't you see? That is the golden path. Krelazin, I will bring, what is it called? Like, the tsunami of conflict or something like that. The summit tsunami or something. I don't remember. I need to really, really get into those books again. It's been a while since I read them. I'm starting again, but I need to continue. It's a series that's sword and sorcery, but space, kind of BDSM. if you go to certain clubs at the witching hour, you might run into people you know who know. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, not enough. Like when you do space stuff, it's always like people wearing aluminum foil uniforms. Whereas if you look at like you compare old Star Wars to new Star Wars, it's like old Star Wars you can just tell because the actors came from the 70s and 80s that like, oh, they're all horny. They're all horny and they're all going to have a big orgy after they stop filming this scene in a movie for kids. But in the new movies, it's like, yeah, I don't think anybody was having sex in the behind the scenes of that of like Rise of Skywalker. I don't think anybody was having any sex. I don't think anybody was having sex in the making of that movie. Empire Strikes Back, though, you kidding me? Mark Hamill, the sexual frustration is palpable because he spent like 4 months in a dingy swamp set with a Muppet. Meanwhile, Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher are just having like this love affair while filming their scenes. If it's a series I'm thinking of, I remember this old forum I used to frequent had a moratorium on discussing the series. Well, Carrie Fisher outright said she had a couch interview. Oh, she did! Oh, she did! That's interesting. Man, I miss Carrie Fisher. She was so much fun. I have a lot of time for her crazy... Like, she became, like... She went from being, like... the girl you call and you're like, hey, you need to lose 20 pounds so we can put you in a thong and a bikini. And she's like, ugh, fine, whatever. And then she just became, like, a crazy grandma. And she's so fun behind the scenes. Sucks that she's gone. The picture of Fisher in the trash can in New York. I don't think I've seen that one. Fisher was also high of a lot of it. Oh, you think? Because like I watched the behind the scenes of The Force Awakens and the interviews she did for that, and I'm like, no, that woman isn't drugged out of her mind at all. Same with like Harrison Ford. That guy didn't just smoke a blunt before going on Jimmy Kimmel at all. No, he's just like, this is what he's like normally. Mark Hamill is the only one who's like still with it when they talk to him. On today's stream, we somewhat got on to talking about kinks to Grandma Fisher. Hey man, if Carrie Fisher didn't awake something in you when you watched those movies as a kid, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. That's actually something like, okay, so real talk though, that like Slave Leia, that never did anything for me. And I don't know anybody who had her, like, because they had made that episode of Friends where it's like, oh yeah, every guy fantasized about the metal bikini. And it's like, I don't know anybody who ever fantasized about that. Right? And it's like what? What is that? I also love there was this interview with her because I think they discontinued making toys of the Slave Leia. And Carrie Fisher was asked about it because she was like, no, you should continue to do that. And she was asked, like, but how are we supposed to explain this to kids? Right? That this isn't something you want kids to see. And she was like, well, but it's in the movie, and the kids are already watching the movie. And if the kids ask questions, just tell them, like, just answer the question. Like, yeah, I was put into the bikini against my will by an ugly slug monster that I killed. Like, what is this? So blunt. You love her. She's chat. Carrie Fisher. What a lovely woman. Listen, the Friends generation group were the last ones who thought anything about it. Gen Z maybe and before. Yeah, the baby boomers were all about that. The silent generation, they wouldn't have it. Wouldn't have it. Hey man, that's a straight up glowing cockroach. Hey man. Tss. Sorry. I shot you. What could this mean? Suddenly your name makes sense, Queen of the Void. It awakened my monster thing. What a rad roach. Tell me about it. Such a shame we had a bad fallout with it. That's the name of the game. Okay, so verticality, that's done. Wide open roads, that's done. Urban exploration, I think I have a lot of footage of that already. Upbeat landscape. I'm still looking for an upbeat landscape. I'm pretty sure I can just use any bit of footage from Fallout 4, and if I contrast it to Fallout 3, it'll communicate the idea of an upbeat landscape. But at the same time, I'm like, and I want it to be actually upbeat. Oh, hey, that's kind of upbeat. End. That's how we mark that. Because that's the final part of the stream that I need. Look at this. Look at how upbeat this is, chat. Look at it. I think this is very upbeat. If I'm gonna fantasize about beautiful women, I'm gonna fantasize about Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot is lovely. I don't like her. I think her acting is bad. I'm sorry, I'm crapping on somebody that you like. I think her acting is bad, and I don't like that characterization of Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman, like Robin Wright was in that movie. And I get that Robin Wright is a 70-year-old woman. But that, like, she was playing this character whose name I don't even remember. Like Artemis or whatever. That is how Wonder Woman should behave. She's like very hard. She's got like this sort of general attitude, really militant, and sort of not aggressive, but a lot more sort of confident and capable. Whereas Wonder Woman, I feel, was a bit too much like, you know, oh, she's just like a cute girl, and oh my god, she's kind of bubbly or whatever. It's like, no, Wonder Woman is just like, she's basically Batman in a bikini. But you know, if you like Gal Gadot, that's pretty cool too. I guess I don't care. We're allowed to have opinions. Hey, whose stream is this, man? How dare you have opinions in my stream? In this stream, we believe that Estes Healing has destroyed From Software's ability to make good games, and that Robin Wright should have been Wonder Woman. Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, is in Oblivion. Yeah, she's married to the CEO of Bethesda, who we were talking about earlier, but whose name I don't remember. Pete Hines? I don't remember. But yeah, they're married. Well, they were married at least. I don't know if they still are, but I think they are. Okay, so Pete Hines is the PR dude. Oh wow, I'm sorry, I'm so embarrassed. What's the CEO of Bethesda's name? It's not Todd Howard. Todd Howard is not the CEO, I know that much. Isn't it Pete Hines? I feel like it's Pete Hines. I feel like you're playing with me. What? On like Donkey Kong, let me just blow your head off. Also, I need stim packs. You people need to wait a moment, because I need to heal. I don't think you fully realize this. Ah. This firefight is so exhilarating, don't you think, guys? It is. Let me just open that right up. Ooh, that's pretty good stuff. Oh, he has like weird conniptions about theft. I don't care what he thinks. Bethesda was bought out again anyway, yeah? Yeah, but they still have like an operating manager. That I don't think that... Did that change at all? I don't think like top management of Bethesda changed all that much. Though I have not paid much attention to the story. I just feel like that's one of the things that would have entered my orbit if it had. Maybe it did, and I just didn't notice. It might be ZeniMax, the parent company. Oh, it might be that. I don't know. Robert Altman, though he's dead now. Oh! That sucks for Linda Carter if he was the guy who was married to her. Let's find a better weapon. This weapon is boring. Bottle cap mine. Ooh, this is cool. It does crap damage though. Sorry. You're literally in the way, man. I don't know how you go about balancing pistols in a game like this, because you can't make them stronger in any sense. You can't make them fire faster. You can't make them have higher ammo capacity. I suppose the way you should handle pistols, if you're inventing everything from the ground up, is that actual maneuverability of the weapon should feature into the gameplay in some way. So just how quick you are at drawing it and where you can use it. So like you have to actually have the physical space to hold the weapon, and it takes time to draw it and stuff. And pistols of all the ranged weapons have the least burdens on that. This is just the easiest weapon to use. Don't evolve. So I think that's maybe one way to... You're in the way, man. That's one way to balance pistols. I think another way would be to make... And I don't know if this is a good idea, but to make pistols basically you have an infinite ammo of. You can always find pistol ammo. Wherever you go, there's plenty of pistol ammo to go around. You're never going to be short on that. So, like, you don't bring a pistol because it's a good weapon. You bring a pistol because it's a weapon that never runs out. It's a great weapon of last resort. I think that's another maybe good way of designing pistols for a game that failed. Pistols in other games are secondary, so if you run out of ammo, it's quicker to whip out a pistol and use it than to reload your primary gun. Yeah, well, Bethesda Fallout doesn't have that primary weapon mechanic. But even in a game like BioShock, like it's your starter weapon, but it's also like after that, it's basically like you only use it because you have some armor-piercing bullets for that, which do more damage to the big daddies than a standard, slug or whatever in the shotgun does. They just reused this window boarding texture here and here. And they are allowed to continue making video games? I don't... chat, what's going on? This doesn't make any sense to me. They just did it again. It's the same window. It's the same broken window. You can't put this window there in the middle? Like, who... Is there no quality filter? Is there no, like, actual standards over at Bethesda? Do they think this is okay? Like, these windows, they're individualized somewhat. They're like this window and this window are the same, but they're surrounded by windows that aren't the same. I found a radio signal. I think I found that radio signal like 5 times already. I also feel like I've been here like 9 times, but maybe not. Hey, you can't swear on my stream. What the hell? Hey man, you're kind of... You just straight up walked outside of my crosshair? I don't know if you noticed this. Shortcutting. Wait, okay, I know very little about game design. Don't we want to reuse some assets? Oh yeah, I'm joking. I'm joking. I don't actually care that they have like, because they already have like 20 different window models that they're shuffling around. I'm joking. Why doesn't this guy have his own dedicated hut for when I loot him? Do they not want me to feel like he has any personality? Uh-oh, a bomb. You deal with them strong, I'm out of there. How do I get up there? Oh, it's probably... Yeah, it extends from another place. And something I really want from the next Fallout, because I don't think we'll get this at all in Skyrim, is this stuff. Well, this isn't actually an example of that. I thought there'd be like a door to go into the interior here. Stop doing this. Okay, I get it. It's 2009. You need to release a Fallout game. I get it. You need to segment it off into its own rooms. I get it. Okay, I get it. It's 2015. You need to segment off the rooms from the overworld because you're still like on weak ass hardware. There is no excuse in the year of our Lord 2020 for a $1 billion company or a $1 billion studio like Bethesda to not have the tech to make all of these interiors be accessible from the overworld. And like this firefight, yeah, maybe it'll be able to bleed into interiors in ways that aren't necessarily conducive to good quest or NPC interactions, but you know what? Design around that, right? Put enemies away from important NPCs and stuff. Do that. And embrace... Like, that's another thing I generally don't like about the way Bethesda handles NPCs in their games now, because they didn't do this in Morrowind, and that's like... It seems like they're afraid to just embrace the player-created chaos. And so like, oh no, you can't kill this person because this is an important quest giver. And I'm like, I don't care that it's an important quest giver. I'm not gonna do his quest. Or like, design your quests in a way where they can account for me having killed every single quest giver. Right? So like, in Skyrim, how does me killing some guy in some throne room stop me from being able to stop Alduin, right? I should be able to be the most loathed man in all of Skyrim. Like, kill all the Jarls, kill all the Imperials, kill everybody, just get every faction against me, but still, I need to be able to stop Alduin, right? The fact that I want to be an asshole in the world and kill everybody should not impede, like, how does it, you feel like if I killed the Jarl in real life, you feel like I could still somehow figure out a way to stop Alduin? I don't actually need him to give me an invitation to a party? That then, like, I don't actually remember if, like, that's how I don't remember the main quest. But, like, it feels like the main quest there has no dynamism whatsoever for you to toy around with. It's very much, you do as you're told, because we didn't figure you'd do anything else. See, this is what I like, because this is an interior that's actually merged with the overworld, and now you can just walk inside here. I also think these are the bigger doors I was talking about, or like the parameters there equal the bigger doors I was talking about. Technically, in Morrowind, you can kill everyone and still beat the main quest. You need massive amounts of constant regenerative health. Yeah, but it's like, it's not super dynamic, but it's just, there's not a lot of locks on your ability to actually get things done there. There's like that whole, the thread of prophecy is been shredded stuff, but like, you can do so much crazy stuff in Morrowind. And even in New Vegas, I think you can... I've only played New Vegas once. Okay, you can know this about me. I'm man enough to admit this. If I opened up my Steam page right now, you'd see that I have 17 hours in Fallout 3. I have 18, or like now 19 hours or whatever in Fallout 4. I only have 13 hours in New Vegas. I did the main quest, and then I basically bailed. Okay? But my understanding is that you can basically do whatever you want in that game, and the main story, you can still play it. It'll just account for that fact that you're a crazy asshole. And yeah, you can kill everyone you meet, but you know, the story, it just adapts. It just adapts to what you're doing. This feels like a quest. What am I following here? This is like the end of the Da Vinci Code. Where they're like, follow the roses. Oh, it's the Freedom Trail. Hey, I'm actually trying to find the Freedom Trail. I don't know if this is I don't know why you are trying to stop me there. Seems like a cringe thing to do, because I'm like finding the Freedom Trail. I don't know if I said that. 5R. Okay. What am I doing with this pistol? I wanted a good weapon. Gamma gun. Oh, but I think the super mutants are immune to that. Incendiary shotgun? Ooh. Yeah, we're playing BioShock now. Hey. Freedom Trail, where you go? Yes, yes, you're dead, boy. I killed you. Basically, without Wraithguard, you need to take massive amounts of damage every frame when you have either Sunder or Keening equipped. Okay. Alright. Bethesda literally has made the worst Fallout games. Obsidian, originally Black Isle, makes the best Fallouts. Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on what you want. And, like, if you're a Fallout fan, you want good role-playing. I get that. But I really love the Bethesda ones because they have so much interesting exploration in them. Much, much more so than the Black Isle ones. If you look at the map of New Vegas, there's certainly stuff to explore in that game, but the actual map layout, it's just a circle. And if you just walk this circle, like you just walk straight in this circle, you can do everything you need to do in the game. There's very little need to actually warp around. It's just the world map was designed around the quest, the main story. And you can deviate from it if you want. Whereas here, they just dump you, and they did it in Fallout 3 as well. They just dump you somewhere, and you just like, you just travel across like so much of the map just doing random shit. And there's no like, this whole parameter is the main story. They take you to much more, much more crazy places. That said, the quests in New Vegas, and I haven't played that much of the original Fallouts. I've really just dabbled in them. But from what I know of, like, just New Vegas, vastly more interesting. Though I do think there's something to be said about the actual quest of Fallout 3. It may not have like the faction depth or whatever. It may not have. It may not be the best executed, but just the story. I think that's a really interesting one. Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas. I was going to say Fallout New Vegas. It leans much more into being for people who are already immersed in this world, right? If Fallout New Vegas is your first Fallout, it works, but they like. Your best Fallout New Vegas playthrough is probably like your second one, where you're already familiar with the world of Fallout. If that makes sense. Subjectively, for sure, this is coming from someone who grew up with Fallout 1 and 2. I'm not 40, I just played old stuff as a kid. I'm not 40. God forbid. Heaven forbid. But yeah. I think it's really interesting, and I actually think it's really sad that Bethesda has an IP like Fallout and like the Elder Scrolls, and they make billions of dollars off of this. I think they should just take 5 million of those profits you made and give it to Paradox, or give it to like a double A studio, and give them the mandate. You have the Elder Scrolls license. Make an isometric RPG. There's never been one for Elder Scrolls. Make one. And just make one. You have $5 million. Use 3 of those millions to make it, and we'll do like, and then you can just keep the 2 or whatever. We'll take care of the marketing. You just make it. And this game is not made to make money. It's made just to like, hey, we know that the hardcore fans are disappointed that these elements of these games that you fell in love with originally are being sort of dithered away as we continue to make these things. But here's one. Like, this is just for you. And we get that this isn't as massive. It's not a third-person game. It's not as accessible or maybe as conventionally fun as the bigger games are. But if you want a Skyrim or an Oblivion or whatever, an Elder Scrolls, which is more about role-playing in this world, here, we made one. It's an isometric RPG, but we made one. Or same with Fallout. We're like, you can't... Fallout would probably make money if you did an isometric RPG. Same with the Elder Scrolls. And you can't do that. You need to source that stuff in-house. Those games aren't even competing. Like, if you released this Fallout and an isometric Fallout at the same time, they're not competing with each other. The people who are going to buy the isometric one are going to buy the Fallout 4 too. Right? It's the same people. So you're just like, what are you doing? And the people who would buy the isometric one but wouldn't buy the mainline one, they wouldn't have bought the mainline one anyways. So I don't get it. I don't get why this isn't just done. It's not as great a return on investment as like putting all that money back into like, you know, making another gigantic open world game, but it's something. It's something the community really wants. And, you know, you keep saying that you're listening to the fans, but I don't know if you're really listening to the fans or if you're just saying that you're listening to the fans. I don't know. I feel like I should be put in charge of these companies. Don't you think, Chad? Clearly, I know so much about it. And you can tell I know so much about it because I have opinions that I share on the internet. But this is genuinely something that does irk me. And like, you have franchises that people love, but just which aren't necessarily big, like Dishonored. And Dishonored, like that's an immersive sim. Okay, I get that. But what if you just did an isometric game? Maybe an isometric immersive sim in the Dishonored universe. And maybe that can just be okay, right? It doesn't need to make a lot of money, and it basically just exists to keep the franchise alive in some capacity, right? You have some content, and who knows? Who knows? Maybe you'll sell, 5 million copies, and it'll actually be like a pretty good sleeper hit. Who'd be near 40 in here? I mean, come on. Yeah, Quesadif. I like to think listening to the fans is happening, but most video game companies have evolved more stockholder first, not game. Yeah, well, I see. I think that's part of it, but I think a bigger part of it is that power has sort of fallen out of the hands of the key decision makers. So, and this is maybe something to do with just how much money is involved in it now, but it's also because the studios are so big. So if you're... oh, hey, I have a power armor here. I've already stripped it of everything. So if you're Todd Howard and you're in charge of like 30 people and you're making Morrowind, I don't know how big that team was, you can kind of be the creative lead. Like, Todd Howard can be in charge of 30 people. He's a good enough manager for that. But when you're Todd Howard in charge of 300 people making Starfield or Elder Scrolls or whatever, you're like, you kind of have to have a Steve Jobs to just be able, like, managing people is a genuine skill, and you need to be at the absolute top of human quality in management to be able to do something like that. And if you have the capacity to manage 300 people or like 1,000 people, you're not making video games. You're revolutionizing some industry and making tens of billions of dollars doing it. So I think it's just that these projects are becoming so unmanageable that listening to the fans, yeah, you know, that's cool and all, but when are you enacting those decisions? Because you already have a full schedule, and the what's the word I'm looking for here? The feedback mechanism you have for gauging quality and for choosing how your decisions get made and how you change, how you design games, it's just so chaotic and all over the map. Where like, who does Todd Howard listen to when he needs feedback for his games? QA testers, probably. Do you think he reads reviews? Maybe. Do you think he reads reviews from like the hardcore Elder Scrolls community, or do you think he reads reviews from bigger publications? Right. So like, who's actually a better arbiter of what people want? 10 million people who share a sentiment, or a really hardcore fan who has a contrarian opinion? And actually, it might be that the hardcore fan has a better grasp of what it is that's wrong with the games. And, you know, because like, I actually don't think most people enjoy things because they really engaged with it and know what they... I don't think most people know why they like what they like. So you need to have a ruthless quality filter for where you get your feedback from. But if you make it too ruthless, you might just find yourself being in sort of an Elder Scrolls echo chamber or like a Fallout echo chamber, where it's just, we just want Fallout New Vegas. No new ideas, no innovations, no experimentations, just Fallout New Vegas. And then you just killed Fallout. There's nothing, like, why don't we just replay New Vegas then? You know? So I don't know. I've never been in that situation. So I don't know how the decision-making mechanism sort of gets ripped away from the managers, and these franchises are allowed to be destroyed. Well, destroyed, that's a very harsh term. But they aren't being serviced with the love that their community maybe deserves. That's a bit of a rambly explanation, but yeah. I also think it depends on the person's personality. It depends on if they're egocentric as well. There are a handful of developers, superstars, that are infamous for it. Yeah, but like Steve Jobs, he was a ruthless narcissist. But when it came to making Apple into a brand people loved, he knew how to do it. But like, well, you know, he was really ego-driven, but he wasn't in love with himself. I think there's a difference there, where there's this real need to prove yourself. Well, maybe he wasn't in love with himself, but I don't think his project at Apple was like to try to glorify himself. I think he just had a real drive. Whereas you can have people who whose entire creative enterprise basically revolves around, you know, I need to show people how big I am, and this whole project needs to be about me. Right, so you're not even making smartphones. You're just like doing PR for yourself. Rambly, but I feel it. Yeah. I'm very rambly when I have to talk about these sorts of things, because these are very unformatted conversations I'm having in a second language. And I don't know if there's a solution for it either, because you could empower the actual developers on the ground. You could do like Scrum management, where everybody's basically the CEO in like a smaller way. But then like you look at companies that do that, companies like Valve, and it's like, oh yeah, if you do that, you're not able to ship games anymore. Because when nobody's in charge, and nobody can make the calls that need to be made to actually release games. And then you have people like Is it Doc? His name is Duck something. He's the director of System Shock, the original System Shock. Like, he made that game, and now I think he just does some UI stuff over at Steam. It's like, oh, one of the director of one of the most one of the most innovative video games of all time, a game that like had a really lasting legacy on PC gaming as we know it, and he's just doing something over at Valve. Like, he's not even making games there. Same with like Takayoshi Sato, the art director, and I theorize sneaky director of Silent Hill 2. What does he do? Oh, he does he's the visual overseer or manager or something of Luigi's Mansion 3. He just works for Nintendo. Is he making great games? He's contributing to some projects they do. He did like Mario Tennis and Luigi's Mansion 3. And it's like, this guy should not be... His job is not to take orders from an Excel spreadsheet. His job is to be given $10 million and 15 people to manage. And to make a game that's going to transform the industry. That's what he should be doing. You know. So it's just like... Again, in a big organization, it's very hard to manage people properly. And, you know, putting the right people in the right place is very hard. And it's actually like, it's kind of the exception that it happens. Like Team Silent, that was just all the troublemakers and the non-compliance Konami had. And it got them all together and said to Keiichiro Toyama, make us a horror game with an American feeling. And that's just like such a vague mandate. But because he had no oversight, he had basically full creative control, and he had a team working under him that he was able to manage, he created Silent Hill and revolutionizes horror gaming. And then even when he leaves, the team is strong enough that like Takayoshi Sato can step up and he takes over. And you still have like a manager. And then when he leaves and Silent Hill 3 happens, you have Hiroyuki Owaku and Masahiro Ito, and they take over. And it's like, you still, like, this team is so good that it's kind of like Pink Floyd, where, like, Syd Barrett, he gets, his mental state deteriorates, and he has to leave. And it's like, oh, the greatest frontman, songwriter, singer in prog rock is gone. Hey, you know, I'm one of the guitar players or the bassist or whatever for this band. I'll give it a go. And it's like, oh, Roger Waters is just also the greatest songwriter, like lead man for this amazing band. And then he leaves, and then it's David Gilmour, and it's like, oh, you're still able to produce masterpieces. Oh, I see. Right, and that's really rare, but you know, you have such great talent just centralized in this location, and all you need is basically people having the confidence to make decisions in that. And you can get amazing results from that. But more often than not, you get disasters from it. For every Pink Floyd, there's 1,000 bands that tried to be Pink Floyd and which were just nonsense, you know? So obviously you don't take gambles in-house as freely as like you need proof of work to do these sorts of gambles. Because more often than not, they don't pay off. But if you want a big payoff, you need to take those gambles. So it's like, and also like corporate management doesn't gel well with people doing a lot of like to prove yourself, you basically have to break all the rules. But if you break all the rules and you're kind of like, it's a 50-50 whether you've proven yourself or whether you've blacklisted yourself from ever working in the industry again. Which is why I find indie games to be a lot more interesting. Because there's no, like, it doesn't have they don't have the polish, and they clearly don't have the professionalism of mainstream game designers, but they make up for all of that with just experimentation, creativity, and freedom to explore avenues for design. And my hope is that because every generation, the AAA industry gets more and more powerful in what it can do. Like every engine, every creation engine, game design engine, they get more and more powerful, and they get more power into their hands. But so do the indie developers, and it's not a symmetrical relationship. to double the power, like an engine that doubles the power of the AAA industry, quintuples the power of the indie industry. And that bridge, like the gap between indie gaming and AAA gaming, or like AA studio and AAA studio, that gap didn't used to exist quite like it does now, right? So Eco is clearly made by a small team, and San Andreas is clearly made by a big team. But no, it's not clear that Eco was made by a small team and that San Andreas was made by a big team, because they're competing basically in the same lane of artistry and creative output. But in the 7th generation, consoles got powerful enough that there was genuinely a gap that emerged, and the 8th generation also had that gap emerge. But the gap is narrowing again, and I think that's really exciting, because outside of like marketing and money and stuff, pretty soon the indie developers are going to be able to like this game. 10 years from now, I would not be surprised if an indie developer releases a game that is as detailed and as vast and intricate as this game is. Because indie developers are already making PlayStation 1 games, right? You just have a guy living in like Belarus or whatever, and he's just like I'm gonna make my own Grand Theft Auto. And he just does it, and it takes him 2 years. And this game used to take so many years and so many people to do, and it just no longer does. This is becoming a really rambly stream. I apologize. Exactly, this is why indie games are so popular. But you're seeing this in the writing and music industry too. Yes, that's also interesting. Especially, so George Lucas is the greatest movie maker of all time. And George Lucas is also the most influential movie maker, both in terms of the artistry and like inspiring people to want to get into the industry, but in terms of also in terms of empowering filmmakers, because he created, like, he basically, like, Jaws had come out and you had like new wave Hollywood directors taking over the industry, but Star Wars cemented it, and he changed the industry with Star Wars. And then when he made the prequels, what did he do? He created green screen technology. He basically like standardized that this is how movies get made now. He did digital filmography. So now you can just, you can film a scene for 8 hours. You don't need costly film. And now, like, that has trickled into the market where now you can just make a movie on your iPhone. So all of this technology that he pioneered has fallen into the hands of these children that were, like, they were children when they were inspired by him, but now they're adults and they have their own ideas about how to make movies. And I think that's really interesting. Well, you just need a clever marketing team, not necessarily a whole lot of money. That's true. Good marketing, or like clever marketing, is always a good thing. And I also think indie developers have an advantage when it comes to marketing because, like just like this stream now. So I'm going to release Snail remastered in a month or two. And I probably, I'm not going to make $10 million from that game. Not by a long shot. But I can just have a stream like this where I casually mention, like, hey, if you want, you can play Snail. It will probably cost like $5 or $10 or whatever to play it. The alpha is free on itch if you want to check it out. It's in the description box. And like you have like me going on a stream saying, hey, you could play my game if you want. It sounds very different to an audience than Todd Howard going on stage and saying it, because there's the personal relationship. Like, you're invested, like Annapurna Studios. People are invested in that studio, and the people who made Hollow Knight, Team Raspberry, and Cult of the Lamb, right? These are, it's a small enough team that you can actually, they remain human. They're not just this faceless blob of gray goo, which you become when you have like 100 people working in a studio together. So you can humanize with them, and you can empathize with them, and you can like, hey, I was there when you guys were talking about, did your devlogs for these games, and that's pretty cool. So that's another advantage which the indie market just inherently has over the AAAs. Team Cherry. Yeah, Team Cherry. Sorry about that. Team Raspberry. Hey, maybe the the Twitter handle is available if anybody wants it. it's the relatability aspect too. You present yourself as a normal guy in the middle of Europe. Well, in the northwest of Europe. But yeah, yeah. It's not like, and you know, when the indie markets screw up, right? This is what I love is that if you watch the making of the Star Wars prequel trilogy, it is amazing to me that George Lucas didn't stop that footage getting out there, because it is such a dumpster fire. It's just George Lucas makes a terrible decision, and then they're in the cinema together watching the movie, and everybody's face is just like, oh, we can't fix this. This is unsalvageable. You've made a disaster. And it's just like, this looks so bad for everybody involved in this project that just clearly got way out of hand. But then you look at the behind the scenes of an equally disastrous set of movies, which is the sequel trilogy. But the behind the scenes, it's all like, you know, it's poor Daisy Ridley and poor Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams, and they're like, yeah, you know, we're all just friends and we just love Star Wars and we're united by our love of Star Wars. I don't care about this sort of Vaseline on the lens glamour of these blockbusters. I want to see the behind the scenes where J.J. Abrams is yelling at his secretary because he doesn't care that he wrote a bad script. They just have to pull through and make this movie somehow. That's what I'm interested in. But when you have such big, costly projects, you can't really afford to let that footage go out, because you don't want to be characterized as bad at your job or too human. Rat away. Oh, my healing was already capped before I took... That's interesting. That's interesting. They shouldn't... I don't think that makes a lot of sense, that I take a stim pack and then it's immediately capped how much it can heal by the rad. Even if I heal the rad, it doesn't increase. That's interesting, chat. I think that's interesting. I would reverse that. I think in the case of the sequel trilogy, it's also Disney. Yeah, well, like, the sequel trilogy... I think the sequel trilogy is a wonderful example of what happens when nobody is in charge, but something needs to happen. And then it's just like, what do we do? Bring all the old cast back together. And it's just like, you know, just make a decision. Anybody make a decision. And things are just happening in those movies, and there's no coherency to any of this. Like Rian Johnson, I think he had like, you watch the Force Awakens and you're like, okay, they wanted to make people excited for Star Wars again. The movie succeeded in that. Then Rian Johnson comes and he's like, no, I want to tell a good story. And it's like, oh, okay. And like, people are mixed on The Last Jedi. I don't love it. I have respect for Rian Johnson for making it, but I think it's like I think the movie he wanted to make probably would have been a bit better. He says that that's the movie he wanted to make, but I'm like, I've seen Brick, I've seen Knives Out, I've seen Looper. You are a better filmmaker than that movie, I think. But it's like, yeah, this is a system without any sort of management, which is driving at 200 miles an hour, and it's desperately in need of somebody to just take the wheel and take it and just start steering this ship, because this is a disaster. And you see this also in like, it's like probably a lot of corporate interference, like toy makers and stuff are getting their hands in, and the movies are being made on that. Where you like compare the Obi-Wan series to the Andor series. I haven't seen the Andor series, but by all accounts, the Obi-Wan series had massive top-down interference, whereas the Andor series, they basically left that alone, because that's like their prestige series. And you know, the Obi-Wan one, no, that's the big one. We need everybody to contribute to that. And it's like the Lion King effect, where Pocahontas is the big movie we're going to release. So all hands on deck on that one. Lion King, the B team can do that. But because the B team is on it, there's nobody over them. And they're actually able to just take control of the project and make something really interesting. And that's why I think the first season of The Mandalorian was also so good, because you had not Joss Whedon. What's the guy's name? Crap, what's the guy's name? I'm blanking on it. Iron Man director. What's his name? I'm blanking so hard. He made Zathura. He makes good movies. What's his name? Happy Hogan. I know he's Happy Hogan in Iron Man. What the hell is his name? It doesn't matter. He seems to me like a guy who knows how to take control and insulate himself from too much interference. And so you get The Mandalorian, which is great. And it's like Star Wars is great because George Lucas had a lot of money to make it. So you have like a lot of studio pressure to manage him while he's making it. But no, you don't have that because he made it in England. And the studio heads were all in America. So, and it's all shot on film, and he can't send the film back and forth. So studio heads need to actually visit him in London, and they don't want to do that. And the same thing happens with like The Lord of the Rings, where he filmed that in New Zealand, and he basically created an alternate movie industry to support those movies so that he could be in charge of that. As you can see, Chad, I'm very much in favor of the auteur theory. I think basically if you want something to be amazing, you need to get an artist and put them in charge of it. And then you can get great art. I didn't like JJ Star Wars, so I haven't seen anything else in Star Wars since. Oh, Quesative, that's so sad. I would recommend the first episode of The Mandalorian Season 2. You can watch it as a complete standalone. It is the best Star Wars we have had since Empire Strikes Back. That's my opinion. That's like, it's just like, he goes to town, like, a bounty hunter goes to a town. And he has to help the town out with a problem. It's just like a conventional spaghetti western set in the Star Wars universe. I think it's like an hour long. It's a great, it's just that as a standalone movie, I would have paid to see because it's so good. I hear Andor is great though. Twitter keeps telling me Andor is great. But I'm not getting Disney Plus. Hey, I can respect that. Honestly, the sequel trilogy is basically original trilogy with different paint when you really think about it. In certain ways, but I think it's also the Force Awakens is a response to the prequel trilogy. And The Last Jedi is a response to The Force Awakens, and The Rise of Skywalker is a response to The Last Jedi. And you're like, this is not how you tell a story. Like, say what you want about the prequel trilogy. That trilogy of movies tells a really, really interesting story. It doesn't tell it very well, but like the fall of the Republic and the rise of dictatorship, and it happened coinciding with like Anakin being seduced by the dark side because he has this like issue. He can't watch people he loves. He loves too much. That's his weakness. He has too much empathy for the world around him, and that's basically like dogma. You can't do that in the Jedi. And he's fighting in this war. And he just becomes disillusioned with the Jedi because he realizes that these monks are completely out of touch with reality. And their ways of trying to solve issues don't get results. Because he gets to sort of hard test their philosophies against the realities of war. And he realizes that, no, you know what, I don't think I'm a bad guy for having this much empathy and this much love. And I think I can make a difference. And I want to make a difference. I think like that's a really interesting story. I don't think it's told very well, but it's an interesting story. What's the story of the sequel trilogy? It's just nonsense. It goes in all different directions and there's no plan. Needs a good vision. Yeah. Compare the Marvel Cinematic Universe to the DC Cinematic Universe. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, for all of its issues, Kevin Feige is in charge of that thing, and he's making decisions. Right? And you can bet that he is watching everything. Things are, it's not, he doesn't make art, but those are coherent movies. They're competently made. Like, it's not a total disaster. Then you watch the DC movies where nobody's in charge, and it's like, you people, Marvel has released 50 movies in the time it's taken you to release 4. Like, how can you, like, why has it taken this long for you people to hire James Gunn and put him in, like, give him full creative control? And then just leave him alone. Stop trying to interfere. Like, obviously, that was always the best strategy, and you would have made so much money by now if you'd have done that. And, like, it's taking you this long to do it? The Jedi were out of touch, and it wasn't even out of touch Thursday. Yeah. And the Jedi were also Padme was out of time. Think about it. The story needed an overarching villain with a good theme. As much as I dislike her, J.K. Rowling was very good at that. Yet, so I've never actually read. I've read the fourth Harry Potter book when I was in elementary school, but like I've seen the movies, and like yeah, Voldemort is a looming presence in all of them except the third one, which is like I actually think the third movie was the best one, probably just because it had a healthy amount of Gary Oldman playing a villain. He turned out to be a good guy, boo, but like he's playing a villain in the first part, where it's like, ooh, when he plays villains, things get good. But yeah, you have like, you just like exists there as a presence, and you could do that in Star Wars. You could have like, oh, like, like Heir to the Empire or something like that. Do Thrawn. Do like, oh, the Emperor still exists in some format, or just like here's a specter, right? Remember when Yoda said no, there is another? Yeah, you talked about like you screwed it up in the sixth movie when you revealed that other that he talked about, that was Leia. But what if there was another? What if like you had Mace Windu on the other side of the galaxy doing the same thing, where he's training up somebody else, and then that somebody else becomes like a villain, and that's just like this sort of shadow, this presence that exists in the world, and rather than them having power, right? You have the New Galactic Republic. What you have is just this force, this sort of manifestation of evil that exists somewhere in the galaxy, and you need to go out there and you need to find it, to confront it before it gets more powerful, or something like that, right? There's so much you could have done, and you decided to try to do all of it, and so you wound up doing none of it, and it was a disaster, and lessons were not learned. Because they are still making their stuff like this. They still try to do their cinematic universe, which like I guess it's working a bit better. People like Andor, but I'm like, you know, I used to really get excited for Star Wars. Now Star Wars is just that thing that's on TV every Friday, so it's like eh. And they're doing like an Ahsoka series, so I'm like, Ahsoka was fine in the Clone Wars, but also like, why are you getting Rosario Dawson to play her? Like the voice actor is just like a legitimate actress. You could have just gotten her, and because she's an alien, you can get her to play her in like different different timelines, and it would work. You could do an Ahsoka movie just, around the time of A New Hope, and you can do one 30 years later, and it's just like it's makeup, and you could have done that, but you didn't. And also, like, I like Rosario Dawson. She's a good actress, but she's not a name. So I don't get why you're, like, recasting this fan-favorite character. It's, like, weird. Also, they should get Mark Thompson. I don't get why they didn't get Mark Thompson to voice Thrawn. He narrated the Heir to the Empire books, and the voice he used for Thrawn was so good. And he's, like, a legitimate voice actor. He voices Duke Devlin in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Dub. So, like, get him to do it. Don't be getting Mads Mikkelsen reject little brother to do it. Thor the Dark World says, How many of those movies, filthy movies, were good? Yeah, but it's not a question about them being good. It's a question of, like, when you, like, with the Marvel movies, it's not a question of them being good. It's a question of, are they better than the DC movies? Yes, they are. However, whatever problems people have with the Marvel movies, they come out and they tell a story that's like that works from A to B, and it's like they're fun and there's a joke every now and then, and they have like likable enough characters. The DC movies, they're just disasters. You can't release Suicide Squad and then just keep releasing that disaster. Like at some point, somebody needed to wake up and say, "Hey, whatever doing things wrong." I mean, taking the extremes of being a Jedi would be perfect. An a la evil out of necessity. Yeah, like, do basically KOTOR 2. Be like, hey, you subscribe to this system of beliefs. But Anakin was seduced because he found out that this system of beliefs, it breaks when you try to apply it outside of its operating envelope. When you apply it to scenarios that don't involve meditating in a big tower, all of a sudden it just collapses. And like, no, you can't just be a weird sexless monk living in an ivory tower. You need to live in the world and engage with the people and the wildlife, and you need to be a part of reality, man. Otherwise, like, what are you doing with all this power? So like, yeah, there's stuff you could do with this, and because they're afraid of getting like a person in control of things, it doesn't work. And I don't know, like, there's too many forces acting down on Star Wars for it to be really good. There's like, you need to make it marketable to the kids and to the adults, and we need to try to appease the Chinese market, so we have to rename our movies when we put them out there. It's not Solo, a Star Wars movie, it's like Ranger Solo. And now we also have the toy manufacturers to think about, and we have to like do all these audiobooks in the surrounding media, and it's just like, there are too many fingerprints on this. If you just make it good, all those other things will fall in line. They always have. The Pirates of the Caribbean movies were not made to sell toys, but they sold a shit ton of toys because they were just good movies and everybody liked them. Lord of the Rings was not made to sell toys, but it sold toys. Yeah, sexless corporate movies, stale and safe and mediocre. Yeah, that's another thing. Put horny people back in movies, man. Why do you think Chainsaw Man is so popular? Everybody, you just like watch any 2-minute scene from Chainsaw Man. Everybody there is so thirsty. They're so down. They're so just like, they just want to have sex. They just want to have a little bit, just a crumb of sex. Just like a lick of sex. And I feel like that really like this millennial generation of ours can really relate to that. Obviously not me, I'm a total Chad and whatever. you know how much sex you have when you talk about video games? You go to a party and you're like, yeah, so I have opinions about Silent Hill 4. Do you want to hear them? Oof. But yeah, it's like these people feel weird. Anyways, I should be closing this stream down soon, since I've gotten all the footage I needed, and since I've done my done my rant for the month. I read all 7 books, both in Finnish and in English. Whoa. I also feel like they're kind of in a really bad place, because the internet doesn't like J.K. Rowling, but the internet loves Harry Potter. And like the internet, if they do like a Cursed Child movie, like just, hey, we're doing Harry Potter again, the internet would love that and it would make money. But no, like Emma Watson and Daniel Radcliffe and the gang, they don't want to do it because they don't like J.K. Rowling. But you can't make that movie unless J.K. Rowling lets you make that movie. So it's like, it's like, what do you do here? And you know that Warner Brothers really wants to get Daniel Radcliffe back in those glasses to make those movies. But he seems pretty content just being a weird little goblin in those Victor Frankenstein movies and whatever. If you look at books, most of them are horny as hell in the indie sphere. Also monsters. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think like if you watch like that's one thing, right? I really like the Denis Villeneuve Dune movie. Talking about Dune again. But Dune is super horny. The book, Jesus Christ, it's so horny. And Paul and Chani, they're like teenagers when they meet, and it's like his mother, Jessica, she's like, I gotta warn Paul about the Fremen women and their ways. They'll try to corrupt him. And she's like, what are you talking about? They'll try to corrupt him. And you're like, oh, because like, for all your Bene Gesserit training, that's all undone, and like his destiny and that. Yeah, but what if he just has a lot of sex instead? Oh, that's a lot more exciting to a 15-year-old boy, isn't it? Huh? Uh, so yeah, that's one, like, ooh, you made that wrong because you cast Timothy Chalamet and he has like the sexual appeal of a freaking grasshopper or a fancy bunny. He's like just this weird, sickly looking kid. Like he feels like he would be right at home as like a kid dying in a famine in a sad movie about feudal Europe or whatever. Whereas Paul in the books is a bit hornier. He's a bit more of a Chad, I would say. Grasshopper. He does look like he has like grasshopper eyes. I feel like. Am I wrong? Oh god, there's a mud crab or whatever. Mirelurk. Whoa! Hey, we're going Mirelurk hunting. My roommate is Spacing Guild Navigator. He controls the keys to my car. Yeah, well, you know, the real question is, whose name is on the lease? Because he who can destroy a thing ultimately controls the thing. Hey, we're back here. That's really fitting that we did a whole circle. Do you just need to up your share in the Chome Corporation, and then things will be good. Your roommate will have no choice but to let you have the keys. Timothy might be for the female gaze. Oh yeah, definitely. Like he does look like, he looks like a boy. Like he does, like, because Dune is all about like weird eugenics and stuff, and he does have princess face, right? Like he totally looks like a really sort of beautiful, pretty princess, which is like that's what he would look like, because he was like genetically engineered by the Bene Gesserit to look like that. And he's like, I believe that Timothy Chalamet grew up in a tea garden dancing ballet with the swans. If you told me that, I'd be like, yep, that makes sense. I feel like because I don't like him in the first movie, I think he can save it in the next one, because, you know, he's supposed to be Luke Skywalker in the first movie, and then he turns into Hitler in the next movie, and it's like, if he plays Paul Atreides as a really, really good villain, okay, that can save it. But I feel like in the first movie he kind of just like, he's just like there. It's not like any character, and it's like, your dad is Oscar Isaacs, and and he has so much charisma, and he's so fun to be around, and like, you don't have any of that. You know, so it's like, I don't know about this kid. But he can save it. He can save it in the next one if he plays the villain side of Paul really, really well. He's got that white boy, dead eyes, sad face vibe thing. Yeah, a lot like Jared Leto and Ezra Miller. That's like, and he's got a very similar like personality where he's like, oh, look at me, I'm like, look, I'll go on the red carpet, and I'll not be wearing, I'll be wearing like a skirt. Look at me breaking conventions. It's like, if you did that in the 50s, you'd be breaking conventions. But when every white actor is breaking those conventions, that's not actually breaking conventions, that is the convention. And you're just playing into it. I just got a notification. And yeah. So it's like, yeah, you're also Johnny Depp. That's interesting. Because Ezra Miller was Johnny Depp. And Johnny Depp was Johnny Depp. And Jared Leto was Johnny Depp. And it's like, you're all trying to be the same. Like, it doesn't work when there's 50 of you running around at the same time. Okay? Let the keys flow. Yeah. But like, Timothy might be for the female gaze. Oscar Isaacs is there. Oscar Isaacs is there for the female. Like, if women want to watch those movies, they're not watching for Timothy Chalamet. They're watching for Oscar Isaacs. Like, Josh Brolin is there. Maybe this is just like the women that I know, but the women I know are a lot more attracted to like Josh Brolin, who looks like a 50-year-old angry dad, than they are pretty little princess Timothy Chalamet. I was like, oh, you know, what are we doing here? And like, hey, you know who else is in that movie? You know who else is in that movie? It's Jason Momoa. So it's like, and like Javier Bardem, he has a certain sex appeal as well, and he's playing like just this roguish like dirt man who spits everywhere. It's like just spitting on the floor, and he lives in dirt. And it's like, I feel like that's a lot more like sexually appealing than little Timothy Chalamet. No? Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong. I think Timothy Chalamet may have actually been there like for the male gaze. Because it's like there's so much eye candy for women. There's so many handsome, just really sexually attractive men in this movie. You need to make one man who is attractive, like who has feminine traits and is attractive, because we need something for the straight guys to look at. And Timothy Chalamet, he'll have to do. Actually, Rebecca Ferguson is in that movie, and she's really beautiful too. And she's really good in that movie. I think she's the best cast. Might be. She might be the best cast in that movie. Well, actually, you know, Javier Bardem might be the best cast in that movie. I'm watching for Jason Momoa, thank you. Yeah, precisely. Oh, come on. You think Aquaman made $1 billion because they put Amber Heard in a bikini? No. It's because they put Jason Momoa in a pair of swimming trunks. And they go, how could Aquaman make more money than Batman v Superman? I'm like, gee, I don't know, man. I think Jason Momoa is sexier than Ben Affleck. What do you think? What do you think? How do you think that movie made so much money, huh? And Oscar Isaac dies naked. He dies naked. Ladies, hey. While Timothy Chalamet is wearing that gimp wetsuit, Oscar Isaac, he's just bearing it all out for the world to see. So yeah. I think those movies, I really hope they do, because he's talked about, they're doing Dune 2, which is just like the second half of Dune 1. And then he wants to do Dune Messiah. I'm really not going to be happy until we get the Children of Dune. As well as... I would want him to do the God Emperor of Dune. But I understand, like, Children of Dune, you can wait for 10 years and then just come back to this franchise. Because Timothy Chalamet, let him age up a bit. Let Zendaya... I think she's really bad in... Like, I think she's so poorly cast. But, like, you let these characters, let them age. Let them age into their roles. Actually, I don't know if Zendaya is in Children of Dune. Let's not get into spoilers, but something happens, and I don't remember when. But, like, let the characters age up a bit. Let the actors age up, because you can just pick up the story. It takes place over a long time anyways. And then the fourth movie, you can just do that whenever. Because, like, the Golas, they don't need to look exactly like the people looked in life. So it's okay to recast that role. And we all know what role I'm talking about here when I say that. Sir, I am at work. The ending to the first Dune movie has that ending just in case they couldn't get enough money to make the sequel. Interesting. Interesting, yeah. Yeah, because, like, yeah, Dune 1, like, the actual page count that they adapted to make the first Dune movie, it's only, like, half of the first book or whatever. Like, I think it's a bit more than half. But, subsequent books, like, Dune 1, I think, is the longest Dune book. But subsequent books, like Dune Messiah, is probably more actual pages to adapt than they adapted to make Dune 1. But I think a lot of that is just describing people's inner monologues and their thoughts and their weird hallucinations. And here's Frank Herbert's ideas about the how power operates throughout this oligarchy of weird non-women who can see the future or who can see the past. So I think it's probably going to be a lot easier to adapt those movies. I think Dune 1, like, the books don't get more accessible, but they get more filmable, I think. And I'm not reverting opinion on what I said earlier. I actually think The God Emperor of Dune is a very filmable movie. You just gotta do it right. That's all there is to it. Ah, I like this. See, this is one of the... This is actually... Okay, so I said I like this. I have been to like 5 different versions of this church in my playthrough of this game. And it's like, I get asset reuse, but this is like... The more elaborate your asset is, the less you can reuse it. So like this church, it actually is kind of elaborate because you enter it from the top and then you go down, and it's like, it's such a specifically, like it's scripted in such a specific way that actually it's not okay to reuse it. This is a hero piece. You may not have wanted this to be a hero piece when you made it. You may have just wanted to have a church object that you could let the player navigate. But it's a hero piece. It's too elaborate to be a generic asset you can put into 5 different locations on the map or whatever. It's like that in real life in the USA, the churches all almost look the same. Really? Oh, that sucks. I retract my statement. Todd Howard, best game designer of all time. He made this game all by himself. Well, okay. I mean, if that's... I would love to travel to the places described in this game. Or like described, showcased in this game. I'd love to actually go here and be like, oh, hey, I killed some super mutants there. Because like, I imagine if I went to Los Angeles, or I went to like, you know, California, Los Angeles, I think basically I would like, for Grand Theft Auto 5, I'd be like, okay, the main difference I noticed is that there's a lot more traffic here in California than there is in Grand Theft Auto. But other than that, it's like, I get it. But this, I feel, I'm like, I probably need to go to Boston to get it. Because there was this GDC talk I talked about earlier where they were talking about their modular design kits and how they created the overworld. And it's like, it was a really important to us because we went to Boston when we were making this game. I'll actually just load back to an earlier place so that I can show it. It was really important to us that we capture not so much the actual places in Boston, right? We don't want it to be realistic, but we wanted to be authentic to the actual feel of being in Boston. And this is just a long-ass loading screen, huh? And they were like, we have to have open, like, wide roads so the player can see ahead, but also because this is a lot truer to the experience of actually being in Boston. And we needed, like, buildings needed to be conformed to this style. But also, Boston is segmented in a really interesting way in between its districts. And also the roads aren't straight. They take weird loops and turns. Because the city planners originally, they didn't know what the hell they were doing. And we needed to be truthful to that, while also making an environment that feels good to play. So, one thing you'll notice is that the roads in this game, like, they're open compared to previous, like, compared to Fallout 3, for example. But they're also really narrow, right? This is basically a one-way road. And the reason for that is because the vertical space needs to be playable too. So, if you want the player to be able to climb up to this building and jump over to this building and then go up this building and then jump in here and come back down, you actually, like, the buildings kind of need to be closer to each other than they otherwise would be. You can see a really fun example of this. Because if we had an actual car that we could drive in this game, that would basically ruin the layout here. You can see this in Arkham City compared to Arkham Knight, where what made Arkham City was a great city to explore. Arkham Knight was a disaster because they had to move everything so much further away to accommodate the car that the world design just kind of broke in on itself. I have some pics of some areas in this game in real life. It's nothing special. Oh, don't say that. I'd love to visit Boston. Don't tell me it's not special. The Minutemen throwing tea. The Liberty Bell, if that's there. Maybe that's in New York. I don't know. I could visit the corpse of Hamilton. I actually think he's also in New York, but whatever. I think he's buried in Trinity Church. And I know that because I've watched the musical, and they say that he's buried there. But yeah, that's another thing. Like a good contrast between the Fallout, the Bethesda Fallouts, and the Obsidian Fallout. At least New Vegas, I can't say about the Black Isle ones. Is that Bethesda seems a lot more sort of loving with its portrayal of America, whereas like it's mired in cynicism and like corporate marketing of this uppy 1950s America, and the canonization of that sort of mythological golden age. But at the same time, it's like you come out here to rebuild America, and in the third game you're dealing with the old systems and like these sorts of tentacle arms of the America that used to exist, which have mutated to survive into something equally horrifying to watch as what happened to the super mutants, with like Little Lamplight and that stuff. But at the same time, there is like a real love of America in the Bethesda games, which I can't really say for Fallout New Vegas. Just like in the location, like Vegas, it's immediately like this America as this place of excess and like greed and like a place of outlaws where you go and you just need to start a new name. So inherently everybody is not trustable, and it's like, yeah, it's all about gambling and getting people to swindle, and it's like that's a different take. It's a lot more like, it's a lot darker in many ways, but I think I actually prefer the world building in the Bethesda ones, that where it's like you engage with the fallen America that used to be, and it's kind of sad. Whereas in Fallout New Vegas, it's like, oh, you engage with the America that used to be, and look at how much it sucked then, and it's how much it sucks now. And I'm like, I think it hits harder when you're looking at something that's like, oh, this was actually like, this was beautiful once. I don't know. That's my feeling about this, at least, because why would you want to live in the, like, what's the point of surviving in the wasteland if like it's all for nothing? Fallout 2 has my favorite story. It's really good. That's Fallout 2? Oh, that is Fallout 2? Oh, that's interesting. So, I've only played, I think I played the first 3 hours or so of Fallout 1. So, I have people in chat here who have played those games and have played them a lot. I think if I played them, if I just sat down and played them, I could get into them. I know I could. But how long do you think it would take me to like complete both games and then like really sort of maximize my playthrough of them? So like 2 playthroughs of both games, and I'm like exploring everything, or as much as I can. Am I looking at like, is that a 20-hour adventure? Is that a 500-hour adventure? Is that like 60? Are we talking 200 hours? What is that? Liberty Bell is in Philadelphia. Oh. Hey, you know, Iceland has a lot of bells that you can't even name, so I think I did pretty good. Wait, Philadelphia is... No, it's not in Boston. Isn't that like in... It's Philadelphia in Massachusetts. I feel like Ben Franklin was from Philadelphia. Is that Massachusetts? I feel like Boston is in Massachusetts. I feel like Philadelphia is also in Massachusetts, right? Pennsylvania? Shit. I'm exposed. I'm such a freaking idiot. I'm such an idiot. Why did I say anything? Why did I say anything? A Fallout 1 is relatively short for an RPG of its age. I think it's around 25 hours. Okay, that's manageable. Fallout 2 is like at least twice as long and honestly a bit more bloated. Okay. So do you think I could do both games and really get the full value of both games if I gave them like collectively 100 hours? Because I could probably do that. I could live with that. I could live with myself if I did that. No one is expecting you to know our states. We don't remember all our states. Wyoming and Rhode Island? I'm looking at you. Wyoming's not a real state. What are you talking about? I know Idaho was named because the guys in Congress or the Senate or wherever, they just really liked the name Idaho. Somebody coined the name Idaho and they were like, oh, that sounds so cool. That sounds so cool. Let's use that as the name of a state if we ever get another state. And I'm like, Idaho doesn't sound that cool. I'm sorry to all the Idahoians, but it doesn't sound that cool. Like, just that. You're a hoe. You're an Idahoian. And it's like, you know, are you from Idaho? I don't know. This is it. Like, I don't know. Idaho. It's like it just. It's an embarrassing thing to say, you know. We're all thinking it. It's fine. It's fine. I forget Delaware even exists. I recently read Idaho is a made-up word made to sound vaguely Native American. Yeah, that's yeah. And it's like why don't you just, if you want a state whose name sounds Native American, you can just go to the Native Americans and ask them to name the state for you. Like, what are we doing here? like, what the hell are we doing here? You know? Well, they'd probably name it like some Native American words, like a Native American word that means "give us back our land, you white devils" or something. It's like, you know what? I get that you don't want to. Okay, fair. I get why you don't want to ask them, but let's like you could have asked at least, right? You don't need to take their name suggestion, but you could have asked. That's what I'm saying. But hey, chat, I really mean it this time. We gotta sign off. I have all the footage I need and then some. This was fun. I'm not gonna return to this game. Don't need to. Got all the footage I needed. But who knows? We'll be streaming something more. I don't have any plans right now. No idea what we will be streaming. Maybe Armored Core 2. I don't know. These things elude me. But yeah, bye-bye everybody. Ciao, see ya, goodbye. Oh.